Ladies and gentlemen, legendary Jim McMahon with us. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Good morning.
Nice talking to you, young man. Jim McMahon calling this morning, joining the Vikings great Tommy. I just went to a hockey game on Saturday night with Tommy Kramer. I got to tell you, Jim, I think the world of that guy. What a nice man.
Yeah, he's always been a lot of fun. It was great to play against him and to get to know him over the years. It's been great. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Oh, yeah, no question about that. But it's a big thing. Jim joining the Vikings great quarterback, Tommy Kramer. It is Friday night, Route 47 Event Center in Fridley. It's on University Avenue for a ticketed event of fun and music with Tom Petty tribute band Free Fallin'. Tickets are as low as $15 a person. You can get yours at TommyKramer9.com. That's TommyKramer9.com. Details about what's going on there is available at TommyKramer9.com as well. Jim McMahon with us. Jim, that just amazes me as I look back. The Super Bowl, it seems like it was about 4 or 5 years ago, Jim, but it was a little longer than that.
Yeah, it's damn near 40. Because my oldest daughter was only a year and a half at the time, and my son had just been born. He was probably less than a year as well. So, and now my oldest daughter's 40, so it's been quite a while.
Wow. So what's going on with you, Jim? Everything's good in life, I'm hoping?
Well, I've been dealing with a bad foot for the last 2 years, actually.
I
had just a very simple surgery. I played on a broken ankle for years. They kept telling me it wasn't broke.
Yep.
And so I got to the point I couldn't walk anymore. So they basically just shaved a little bone off my ankle, took a couple bone spurs out. And a week later, my foot exploded from an infection. So I had 2 more emergency surgeries. And then they talked about cutting my leg off. They saved the leg. I've had 6 surgeries since in the last 23 months. And I'm still not walking. And so it's been hell.
Oh my God, Jim! And
I've been complaining about my 1 surgery.
Yeah, exactly. You had 6.
Yeah, this is the most simple one I've ever had. I had 19 prior to this, and never had a problem, never had an infection, and I think it's all this gain of function research these fools are doing. Penicillin doesn't work anymore, so. They've got all these super bugs.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah, and back in like '85 when you guys were making your Super Bowl run, the answer was always, just rub some dirt on it and get back out there.
Oh yeah. Tape an aspirin to it and you're good to go.
That's the whole deal. Now, Kristen and Mary Mack are in studio with us. Well, Kristen's in Los Angeles.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mary, you said you had a question for Jim.
Oh, I do. I actually have 2 questions.
Oh, you have 2 questions. Okay, Kristen first.
Yeah. I'll start with the nostalgia question, actually, first, because do you have any great memories of you guys filming Super Bowl Shuffle?
Yes.
Because I can still
Yep.
recite, "We're not here to cause any trouble. We're just doing the Super Bowl Shuffle." Like, I still remember that.
Yeah, unfortunately, that won't go away.
I'm sorry to remind you of it.
I was going to say,
I don't have any memories of filming it. Well, I did. Walter Payton and I didn't go to the filming, actually.
Oh.
Because when this thing was brought to us, it said, "Look, we're going to make a record. This is what they told us. And the proceeds were going to go and feed the homeless for Thanksgiving and Christmas, which we thought was a good thing for Chicago. So we agreed to do a record. And so we all did the guys that had speaking parts, we went into a studio, did our deal. And then about 2 weeks after that, they came to us and said, "Oh, now we have to do a video."
Oh,
and we're like, "No, that wasn't part of the deal."
And this is the height of the MTV generation, just to throw that out there.
Right. And we're still had 5 games to go. The season wasn't even over yet.
Oh, God.
And so, and then they decide to film this thing the day after we lose our only game that year on a Monday night in Miami. And so we get home probably 3 or 4 in the morning from Miami. The guys had to be at the studio at 8 or 9. They were there, I think, for about 8 hours. And Walter and I didn't go. And so they came to us about another week after that and said, "Okay, if you guys don't do your parts, we're going to have to sue you."
Oh God.
Oh, this is some serious tea.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happened behind the scenes people don't know about.
Yeah, well, we're
And so what you see on that screen is a pissed off white man doing his thing. After
I'm
practice,
so glad I asked.
after practice one day in the racquetball court at Hallis Hall. That's where Walter and I did our whatever we did. And so that's why we're superimposed. That's why we're not in that line of all those guys with the rhythm.
The group shot.
Yeah, it was crazy, you know. And then as you know, people still bring it up. I mean, you know, at the time it was like I said, we had five games left in the season, so it was pretty ballsy.
Yeah.
But it turned out pretty good.
Yeah, and was there any like reservations from any of your teammates to do it? Because athletes are very superstitious, and to like film essentially a "we're going to the Super Bowl" song in the middle of the season is like a hey, we don't want to jinx the run we're going on. Was there any reservations to doing it?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of guys that said, "Hell no, we're not doing that."
Yeah.
I was very surprised that the guys that did it. I mean, Mike Singletary for one, you know, because Mike was. Well, I mean, he was very, you know, he still is a very religious guy, and he's you know, very studious, and he was all about football. And to take the time out to do that was I thought was pretty cool of him. And like I said, it turned out great, but it could have, you know, could have been worse.
Yeah. Now you're part of pop culture history.
Well, we did get a gold record and a platinum video. So
Oh, that's cool.
that goes for us.
Honest to God, Kristen, you had one more question?
Oh, I did. Okay. And this is the timely one that everyone can't stop talking about. We need to know your thoughts on Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Oh God.
I don't have any thoughts on it. I mean,
Good
I know
answer.
my old friend Andy Reid is Travis's coach. That's all I pretty much know about that. Yeah, I don't follow all that. I don't keep up with that.
That was good. That was called like kind of doing a little shuffle there. No, I don't pay attention to that. Thank you.
Yeah, Super Bowl shuffled your way
The
right
Super
around
Bowl
that
shuffle.
question.
No
Well,
comment
yeah,
is a comment.
I'm not a big fan. I don't watch. I try not to watch any games, and it's just I got way more other things to do. I got 6 grandkids now. I get to see one of them. My youngest grandson, he actually moved up to Minnesota a couple months ago.
Oh,
My son's wife is from Minnesota, so I'll get to see them. And yeah, their baby was born in December. My youngest of 6 grandkids, so it'd be nice to see him and try to hold him up. He's a pretty big kid.
yeah, there you go. You know, it's so funny you bring that up, Jim, because I have 3 grandkids now, 7, 5, and 2. And you want to talk, if there is a God, God sent them to me because I just love my grandkids. My children too, don't get me wrong, but grandkids are very special.
Yeah, they're great. My kids, I was very fortunate. I've got 2 girls and 2 boys, and I've never had a problem with my kids. And you know, the grandkids I don't get to see very often. One of the grandkids lives here in Arizona. My oldest daughter lives here, and then the other 2, my other daughter lives in California with her 2 boys, and then my oldest son is in Chicago still with a girl and a boy, and then my youngest son is now in Minnesota. So I don't get to see them as often as I'd like. I got to see them all, and they were all together in July up in Lake Tahoe, which was nice. Got to see them all together there. And so, yeah, it's great when you get to see them, get them all riled up and send them home. So, yeah.
Get them riled, send them home. Now, the very highly rated interviewer, Mary Mack, is in studio with us as well. Mary, how many TV shows you got now? 2, you said?
Yeah, 2, but it's no Super Bowl shuffle. I'll tell you that.
No, it's not. Okay.
I was a great big fan. Like, we would do the Super Bowl shuffle in school, but what I want to know was Wildcats. Remember Wildcats? Goldie Hawn. You're too young.
No,
There's a football movie at the same year as the Super Bowl shuffle.
Really?
Goldie
I remember
Hawn.
that movie.
You remember?
Yeah.
Was that first before the Super Bowl shuffle, or was that inspired by the Super Bowl shuffle? Because they did their own kind of take on that
Super
recording.
Bowl
I can't
shuffle
remember.
came first.
It did. So you guys inspired that whole movie because they closed with their own version of Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
Wildcats was 86 actually. So yeah,
Well,
they
there's
hadn't beat
been
by
a
a
lot
year.
of teams. a lot of teams since have tried some of that. Did a couple videos. And I don't know how successful they were, but
Well, the Vikings
yeah,
had
we're very fortunate.
Yeah. Do you ever think of starting your own TikTok channel, Mr. Jim?
Mr. Jim, I like that.
No, I try to stay off all that social media. I'm so glad that wasn't around when we were playing.
Yeah.
Something else.
You're actually better off not being on social media.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Jim was kind of
I've
interesting.
got somebody that takes care of. My son used to do that for me, and I don't know who does it now. Well, I do, but I'm rarely on it. You know, I'll look through that Instagram once in a while, but other than that, yeah, it's just a waste of time for me.
You and I have that in common because I don't go on social media at all because I found out telling everybody who reached out to you to go F themselves got old.
Yeah, I mean, that's what my son told me when I started looking at it. He goes, Dad, people are going to say things.
Yep.
They've been saying things my whole life. Doesn't really bother me.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I just, I know you only got a couple more minutes with us, but I wanted to, and again, this is just a personal thing. I got nothing against the refrigerator Perry, but I still think Walter Payton should have been given that touchdown. What do you think?
Well, I've been asked that question a lot over the years.
I bet.
I always tell them the same. It's just New England's whole focus that week was we stop Walter Payton, we win.
Yep.
And they did a good job of containing Walter. He carried the ball, I think, over 25 times. We gave it to him down on the goal line a few times, but like I said, their whole focus was we stop them, we win, and that's. I think we could have gave it to him 100 times. I don't know if he would have scored.
Yeah. Okay.
Just because of the focus they had. I tell people, look at the first play of the second half. I think we were backed up on our 4-yard line, and we run a play action pass, and it was not even a good fake to Walter. And there's about 6 guys chasing him. And Willie was going up the middle of the field, and I underthrew it about a yard, or he probably would have went 96 for a touchdown. But that's the kind of influence he had on the game. I mean, he made everybody else around him better because all their focus was on Walter. Everybody else had a pretty big day because of that.
I did want to.
He was hurt about it. I didn't really know how upset he was for years. I talked to Matt Suey, who was probably his closest friend.
Sure.
And then also his son Jarrett, and they said, yeah, he was really bummed. And I'm like, I couldn't understand it because the game was a blowout. I would have much rather thrown 2 or 3 touchdown passes than run a couple in. But I was just happy we got a win.
Sure.
That was the focus of the whole team that year was just win the Super Bowl.
So Jim,
it wasn't like we went away. The next year we were 14-2.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We were pretty damn good, and unfortunately we lost. We had home field advantage the next 3 years, and we lost at home 3 years in a row in the playoffs. So that was very unfortunate for that team.
No question about it. But I tell you, Jim, I'm very, very happy to have you on, especially with Kristen and Mary being in studio, everybody that's here. You were one of those guys, you had a job and you focused on it and you did your job. And I remember watching you as a much younger man at that time, Jim, but I always admired your work ethic. You were there. It was all about doing the job and you got it done, Jim. No doubt about it.
Well, when I could play, I mean, hell, I was hurt most of my career, but we did have a fairly decent year the year I was up in Minnesota. We went to the playoffs anyway. We had a shot.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoyed playing. I got to play for 7 teams. Got to play with a lot of great players. Some good coaches, some not so good. But I had a good time. 15 years. I could have played longer, but I promised my oldest daughter, because we moved everywhere I went. After Chicago, my family moved with me for 6 months, and then they would always go back to Chicago after Christmas break and go back to their other schools. I promised her that when she got to high school that I'd quit, and then we'd all stay in one place, and you can all graduate from the same place. Because I had to move in high school, which really sucked. I mean, I was a junior in high school. Yeah. I went from California to Utah, which was quite a culture shock. And I was starting as a sophomore in California, so all the coaches wanted me to stay. my older brother actually got to stay in California and finish out his senior year. And since I had 2 years left, and my dad said, I'm not leaving two boys in California. I had a younger brother and 3 younger sisters as well. So he goes, yeah, I've got to go to Utah. So that's how I ended up there.
God, I think it's so wonderful that you were with every, at the time, NFC North team except for Detroit. Did Detroit get mad you didn't come and play with them as well?
Well, I always liked playing against Detroit because we never lost to them.
It was your answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess they're doing pretty good this year. But
Yeah, I got
from what I
clobbered,
heard,
yes.
they had a pretty good. I guess they got spanked yesterday.
Yeah,
I saw, but
yeah,
yeah.
it's true.
But other than that, yeah.
All right, anybody with a closing question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. There was a restaurant that when you joined the team in Chicago, Sweetwater was there, and if you ever got over there, did you ever run into Sid Luckman, because he was involved with that group as friends?
Yeah, actually, I knew Sid when I first moved to Chicago. My attorney at the time had known Sid for quite a while, and so I got to spend many dinners with Sid, and what a good dude.
Yeah, my wife at the time was a close friend of Sid Luckman's, and particularly his girlfriend. Her name was Lindsay Kolb at the time. Yeah, that was, and she spent a lot of time at Sweetwater and a lot of time with Sid and vacationing with him and his girlfriend in Miami and everything. Yeah, they were a great man, great man.
Yes, good people. A hell of a player too.
Yeah,
No question.
Yeah, and then the only question that I had was, so obviously Dick Butkus was before your time, but he was a Chicago legend, and obviously he just recently passed away. Did you have any run-ins with him, or get to spend any time and get to know him at all?
Yeah, I got to know Dick pretty well. He actually did the radio for the Bears for a couple of years when I was there, and so and then I've seen him at different events over the years. So yeah, he was one of the best, if not the best. I mean, he played the position the way you're supposed to. I mean, tough man.
No question about it. Jim, in closing, let me just say that I was very lucky on Saturday night. I went to a hockey game, except for Buddy Becker showed up. I mean, that was the only downside, But no, Buddy showed up.
Buddy's everywhere. Everybody knows Buddy.
Everybody knows Buddy. Buddy's a good guy. But
I'm looking forward to seeing him too.
Yeah, Tommy Kramer came to the game, and it was so great. It was something else because he's standing out in the hallway at the Minnesota Wild hockey game. And I walked up and he stuck his hand out and I said, no. I gave him this big hug. And just to be able to hug Tommy Kramer, he is one of the nicest men, just laid back. He's such a great guy.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Jim, you're the best. I'm one of the best of all time in my view. I'll tell you that. I just loved your attitude toward the game. You wouldn't put up with any BS. I remember many years ago, I interviewed you on a different show, and one of my sidekicks asked you this really stupid question. You went, "What are you asking me that for? Shut up." I will never forget. I thought it was great. Mr. McMahon, thank you for your time, sir. And I will run down the stats again. Here's the deal. Jim is joining Vikings great Tommy Kramer, quarterback Tommy Kramer, just talking about him. It is this Friday night at Route 47 Event Center in Fridley on University Avenue for a ticketed event night of fun, music with Tom Petty tribute band Freefall. And tickets are as low as $15 a person, and you can get yours at TommyKramer9.com. Details about what's going on there is available at TommyKramer9.com too. I tell you, Jim, just to hear that you were going to call in this morning. Love talking to legends, pal.
No problem. I enjoyed it. I look forward to coming up back to Minnesota and meeting some of the people that I got to play for.
It is terrific. Come back soon, sir. Thank you.